Hi, it's Bill Hitchcock again. It is April 6, 2020, and this is part 2 of our homework assignment. We're going to be adding in a few more descriptive statistics like we had done on some of the earlier practices and try to set a few things up. So things that I want to add in here is we'll add in the small function, the large function. We can do the top and the bottom for like the top 10%, the bottom 10%. We can try out some quartiles. So we'll do 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We want to get the variance, standard deviation, the kurtosis, and the skewness. All these different statistics that we can add onto our spreadsheet. So let's see, we'll start out with the small and large, and I'm going to put number 1 and number 1 right next to both of those. I'll use my format painter to format paint those numbers. For the top and bottom, I'm going to use 10%, and I'm just going to reference the previous cell to give me 10%, so that way if I change this one to 15%, both of them change. We can do that. All right, let's try out for the small feature. We'll do equals small parenthesis. My array is the field all the way down to the last record here. So it's E1 to E5. And then I want to reference this first number where I want the number 1 means give me the smallest number that we have here. So I'm going to hold my function F4 key and I want to hit it once, twice, 3 times, so that way it's going to lock in that particular column. Hit enter and I get the year 2000. So we'll do the same kind of thing here. We'll do large parenthesis. My array is going to be everything from E1 all the way to 105. And the K is this number 1. So that's going to return the largest number here. Again, function F4 once, twice, 3 times so I can lock in the column. And we've got 2018. So you'll see that those numbers match the min and the max. If I change it to the 5th smallest or the 5th largest, the numbers may change or they might not. It kind of depends on what these values end up representing. So let's copy these across. And we'll just copy it all the way across, and then we'll just kind of take care of the formatting and things like that as we need it. So let's use my format painter. And I'm going to set these back to 1. Just so that way we can check to see if we're getting the same matches for the minimum and maximum. That's what I'm kind of looking for. Here I'm going to use my format painter. Highlight this. This one we want the format painter using a date. We'll use this one for the sale price. Format painter, we can format paint these. The sold, that doesn't mean anything, so we'll delete that out of there. Here I want to choose this one, format painter. And finally, for the last part here, use my format painter. All right, let's try changing these numbers a little bit just to see what happens. Here's the second smallest, and you'll notice that the date changed, the sticker price didn't seem to change too much. There's the third smallest. We could try the second largest to see if anything's changing. It looks like we're getting a little bit of change, mainly on the date, but the prices aren't really changing all that much. And we've got that. So, one thing that would help is if you came in here and you just sorted your data a little bit to quickly identify some of those cells, that might give you a little bit more. All right, now for the top and bottom. there what we did is we took wanted to take a look at the difference between the minimum and a percentage of this range. All right, so I'm going to have to type in for the top 15%. I want to take the max and then subtract off 15% of the range, if you want to think of it that way. So that's going to equal my maximum minus parenthesis the range times this 15%. And I always want to use that column. So function F4 to get a $sign in front of that. I can put a parenthesis at the end, hit enter. We'll do this for the bottom. That's going to equal the minimum plus parenthesis the range times the percentage that I have here. Function F4 3 times, hit enter. Yeah, I should have typed a parenthesis in there. And let's format or let's copy these all the way across, and we'll do the same thing again with our formatting. I know it's a little bit tedious to do this, but trust me, it'll be fine. So I'm just using the format painter. I feel like Bob Ross, just a little bit of formatting here. Sale price, choose my format painter for this. And I can probably actually drag it across here. I'll get rid of these two, I don't need it. And we'll do the format painter here for these last two. So we can get some sort of a feel for how much these vehicles tend to be at these different ranges. So if we want to count it up, for example, in terms of the mileage or maybe the sticker price, I might try it for the mileage. We could do a count if, and I want to count if the mileage, so I'm going to click on the word mileage, hold cursor down 1, hold my shift key, end and down, hit function F4 because I want to lock that in, and then for the criteria, after I type in a comma, I'm going to put in quote, let's see, less than or equal to ampersand my mileage, parenthesis, and enter. And it tells me that 88 vehicles were less than or equal to this. So actually, I want to make it greater than or equal to. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back up there, change this to greater than or equal to. There's 15 vehicles out of the total 103. So if we wanted to show that as a percent, equals this divided by my 103. And we show the number of vehicles, 15% of them. Which, all right, makes sense. But if you actually increase that a little bit, it's a little bit less than 15% because we've got 103 records on there. So let's try that on our bottom. All right, we'll do another count if. And we want to count the mileage ones. So I'm going to cursor down a cell, shift and down. And we'll put in a comma, quote, and these are going to be greater than or equal to, no, probably less than or equal to, we'll figure it out in a minute, ampersand, and then I want to use the bottom mileage, so F114, type in a parenthesis, and I find out that 18 of the records are less than or equal to 17,000 miles. And we'll do our calculation here, divide this number, divide it by the 103, format that with a percent, increase the decimal by 1. You might want to put in a label on here. So just right click and insert a comment, and you can say this is the number of vehicles that have mileage greater than or equal to the X% from the top. And the other one would be from the bottom. So let's try this out. I'm going to hit Control Home. I'm going to sort my mileage, or sort my records by mileage. Smallest to largest. So let's see. If I go all the way to the end, let's take a quick look at these numbers here. I've got 17,000, 17,686, and 84,7. All right. 17,6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. No, it was 18 records that were less than 17,600. So that looks good. If we go end and down, now we want to check the ones that are over 84,000. So if we scroll up here, here's 84,009. Hold a shift key, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15 records, and that's what we calculated. So that's working. All right, next, what I want to do is I want to get the quartiles. So we can do this for all these numeric fields. You know, nothing wrong with doing something like that. So what I'm going to do is this time I'm going to highlight these cells, copy them, and just paste it down here. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit further down. Main reason why I could just copied all that stuff in there is I just want to get the formats there. All right. So I'll delete it now. So I've got the formats kind of put in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the quartile and choose the inclusive one. My array is all these records. So I'm coming up to the first record, shift end and up. Really don't need to have the field names in there, so I'm coming back down one. I do want to lock the rows in place, so function F4. But not the columns, because I'm going to copy this across to the mileage, the sticker price, the date sold, and so on. And I'll type in a comma. And then I could type in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I'm going to reference these from my leftmost column. Function F4, hit that 3 times to fix that column. Shift parenthesis, and we've got 2,000. Copy this down. For the 4 quartiles, we've got those numbers in there. We can do our variance. So we'll do the variance P function. Don't need to do an absolute on that one because I'm just going to be copying that formula across. But I think what I will do is decrease the, I'm going to get rid of the decimals. You know, I really don't need that there. Standard deviation stdev.p, and we're going to come up here, get my standard deviations. Kind of the same thing. Let's use a comma format. Let's just decrease the decimal. We'll go with that. Kurtosis, skewness, yeah, let's just get it all in. Be done with it. KURT. The kurtosis for the years. Come on, come on, come on up. Oh, hang on. My computer's slowing down on me. Shift, end, and up. Back down one. So there I've got negative kurtosis, so that one we can format. We'll leave it that way. Meaning it's relatively flat. And then for the skewness, if I can type, skew.p, cursor up a few, get up to my records, hold my shift key, end and up, keep holding shift, come back down one, and the skewness in this case is also negative, which since that one's actually close to 0, it's the tails on our graph would be fairly evenly split. So most of the numbers are all kind of right around the mean. We're pretty good with that. All right, let's copy these formulas now. Actually, I'm going to go down to the standard deviation. Copy this, and let's go across, and let's choose paste function or formulas, and we've got that. And let's widen out this column to see, or notice that the variance is a huge number on some of these. This one for the date sold, you know, these two numbers would actually be better if we format them with a comma format rather than with a date format. It's a little bit more meaningful. So for instance, the standard deviation 107 just kind of tells you from the mean that's about how where most of our data is kind of falling within 107 days plus or minus. For the sold, we can get rid of all of these. We don't need these numbers in here. Delete that out. The sale and sticker price, again, the variance, you know, doesn't mean a whole lot for us on here, but standard deviation really does. We'll grab our kurtosis and skewness and copy that all the way across, just to get some sort of a feel for what the distribution is of these different numbers. So some of them, you know, like this one, the sticker price, being a positive number, it means that it's fairly peaked. It's right around the mean, as opposed to on these, it's a fairly flat distribution if we want to take a look at some of those numbers. So we've got a lot of our kind of statistics in here. The final thing that we're going to do is try plotting out a few different charts to see, you know, really can we get a little bit better feel for this data and how these, you know, how this data is kind of spread out within our data set. You know, what somebody might be asking us as far as, you know, hey, how are we doing in terms of sales? And, you know, how much does it vary from sales, from vehicle to vehicle, and so on. We can try all these kind of tests out. But we've got a lot of practice with some of the statistical functions, so that all works out pretty well. All right, let me stop this here, and then we'll go on to our last one with some charts.